It's time for a new edition of EcoAfrica, brought to you by NTV in Uganda, DW from Germany, and Channels Television here in Nigeria. My name is Chris Alems, coming to you from Nigeria.
And I am Sandra Twinobidio here in Kampala. We are delighted to have you with us today. As always, we have a great lineup of interesting reports on ways to better protect the environment. So here is a quick look at some of the topics. Inspiring the next generation of conservationists in Rwanda. Namibia's rebounding giraffe population. And why octopus fishing is creating marine pollution in Portugal. We start the show in Rwanda with a topic that is relevant to many African countries. Now, how do you explain to the future generations that it is better to protect the animals other than hunt them all down? That is tough, as there is a long tradition of hunting in Rwanda. Here is more in this story.
What kind of monkeys are these? What habitat do they need? And what are the threats they face? These youths belong to an environmental club. It teaches them about wild animals in the hopes they'll help protect species diversity and promote peaceful coexistence between people and their fellow creatures. The initiative's founder and head, Ange Imanishimwe, expects great things from these students.
You have to protect the environment surrounding you, but also when you find an animal in the community, you can advocate for it. Don't kill the animals, don't disturb or cut the trees. Always think that when you are protecting the environment, trees, animals, you are protecting yourselves.
Nyungwe National Park is a treasure trove of biological diversity. 1,068 plant species have been counted here, and many of these grasses and trees aren't found in any other forests or parks in Rwanda. But it's not just the greenery that's unique. The park is home to 322 species of birds alone, making it a great spot for bird watching. Twice a month, Imanishimwe and his group explore the national park, hoping to encounter some of its 75 species of domestic mammals, like chimpanzees or rare owl-faced monkeys. Back at school, they learn more about what they've seen. This project is part of a Rwandan government initiative.
And you guys, the members of the environmental club, you are the future of this country, which means that teaching you, educating you, and having you taking a step to conserve, that is the promise of the future.
The pupils take their mission seriously. They are assuming responsibility for the environment by preserving its plants and animals.
Our mandate in these environmental clubs is to be right on the front line for environmental protection. It's unacceptable for people who harm the environment to be left to their own devices. They must be shown the right way or reported to the authorities if they refuse to change.
With more than 400 people per square kilometer, Rwanda's population density is very high, so folks keep encroaching on nature, with disastrous results for species diversity. The partial settlement of Akagera National Park has led to the disappearance of many lions and rhinos. So the government wants to sensitize people to their environment, and not just school kids.
And therefore, we cannot avoid involving those who never went to school. We cannot avoid involving those who stopped school at a tender age, at a tender stage. We also need to incorporate them into this fight.
So, on weekends, school groups visit villages to spread their message. Care for wild animals. Don't set traps or chop down trees. Often they propose a trade. Villagers can receive farm animals in exchange for giving up hunting because, like Jean-Marie Vianney Habumire, many here were once poachers.
I used to hunt antelope and eat them with my family, but through this awareness and the opportunities offered to us, I've stopped poaching. Since we've been given domestic animals, there's no need to hunt in the park.
The youths move on to the next village. More than 60 people in the area around NexGen National Park have given up poaching. Some now raise livestock instead. Others are employed by the project. They work with trees whose leaves are used in traditional medicine and learn how to build terraces to stop erosion. The region's outlook is improving, says Ange Imanishimwe, partly thanks to the environmental clubs.
There is a very huge change in terms of mindset around Nyungwe, and I can see that many people now have understood why it is important to conserve.
Just 7 of Rwanda's 30 districts take part in the environmental club project. But that could soon change. Youths make up some 2/3 of the country's population, so their help is key to preserving species diversity.
What a terrific program. Let us hope the passion for those lessons learned at a very tender age lasts a lifetime. But you don't have to join a green club to help the environment. We as individuals can also make valuable contributions a lot on our own. Here is this week's Doing Your Bit.
Charles Ngete Kamiti has single-handedly grown his own forest. The engineer owns 6 acres of land in Kenya. 10 years ago, he started planting indigenous trees. Each time he went on a business trip, he'd bring back native species.
When the Karura Arboretum came up, there was nothing here. There were no wells, there was no trees. And then when the vegetation came up, the wells now started emanating from down the valley. And then when you compare now this area with the neighbors, there's a lot of vegetation here.
His forest is now a place where leaves rustle, birds sing, and insects hum. He started producing medicinal plants and honey. Bananas, passion fruits, and yams flourish among the trees. The local community also profits from the Arboretum's new biodiversity.
With the agroforestry coming in of indigenous trees, we are noticing some changes such that the soil is changing from degraded, eroded land to now more improved with more humus, and it is supporting more life.
The trees even brought back the water. Charles Ngete Kamiti has shown that nature can revive when given a little helping hand.
And how about you? If you're also doing your bit, tell us about it. Visit our website or send us a tweet. #DoingYourBit. We share your stories.
When you think of endangered species in Africa, animals like the rhinos, the elephants, and the pangolins quickly come to mind. But did you know that giraffes have also been on the red list of vulnerable species for several years?
It's true. Scientists from an NGO based in Namibia have been studying giraffe populations very closely. And the good news is they say they have reasons to be cautiously optimistic.
Most people are familiar with giraffes, but far less is known about them than many realize. What's certain is that they are the world's tallest land animals, which enables them to reach leaves high on trees in the African savanna. What's lesser known is that giraffes are incredibly fast. In short bursts, they can run up to 60 kilometers an hour. Beyond that, there are still many unanswered questions about them. What are the different species? How many giraffes currently live in the wild? In Namibia, biologist Lachlan McPheeters and Jody Mitchell-Moore want to learn more. They photograph every giraffe they see so they can be identified later.
Another adult female, right 8573.
Observational studies like these have concluded that there are currently only 117,000 giraffes in Africa. By comparison, there are nearly 4 times as many elephants.
If you think about something like an African elephant, they're in the around that 400,000 mark, I believe, individuals. So if you think that compared to 117,000 individuals, it's pretty incredible for such a large browser species that is kind of one of the most iconic species in Africa, really.
There's been very little work done on them. I suppose the priority in the past has been some of the more sexier species like elephant and lion, and giraffe have sort of gone under the radar. And I think because they are quite widespread throughout Africa, you feel like you see them everywhere.
But that is deceptive. Climate change and humans clearing land for settlements and agriculture has led to a substantial loss of habitat for giraffes. In the past 30 years, the population of these graceful animals has sunk by about a third. Waste in rivers also threatens their drinking water. When tourist numbers dropped due to the COVID pandemic, these guides started picking up the trash instead, which will benefit the giraffes in the long term. Protecting these animals has a long history in Namibia.
If I can tell you more a little bit about the Bushmen, they were not killing giraffe at all. Even during their hunting activities, they were not targeting giraffes because they thought it was the tallest animal, and they realized that killing a giraffe, you are cutting communication between yourself and the ancestors.
This was once considered a sacred sport. 3,000-year-old cave drawings prove how important giraffes were to the people living here. They were regarded as bringers of life.
They believe in the giraffe that they might extend their neck and touch the clouds and make it rain. So good rain is a good happy year for them.
While giraffes in Western and Central Africa are still under threat, their numbers in Namibia and its neighboring countries are actually increasing, rising from 30,000 to almost 50,000. That's largely because they are better protected here in national parks. This is Dan Vision Game Reserve located near Namibia's capital, Windhoek. Today, kids from a children's home are hoping to get their first glimpse of a real giraffe. A giraffe skull like this one is very heavy. The animals sometimes use the bony projections called ossicons in combat with other animals.
Like old wood.
Standing next to a leg bone gives the kids an interesting sense of proportion.
How tall you are?
I usually like giraffes. I love the colors, and I like it's also tall, like I am tall.
Very strong. So giraffe kicks are very powerful. That's how they defend themselves from predators. For example, lions. So they can kick a lion.
The children won't have an easy time spotting the animals today. Giraffes are shy. This turtle, on the other hand, wasn't too hard to catch.
Don't put your fingers next to the mouth.
It's hoped that if children learn about the animals in their region, they'll be more likely to fight to protect them in the future.
Sometimes we get a group of kids, and when they see animals, for example, a giraffe, they'll tell you it's an elephant, or they see a wild beast and they'll tell you it's a horse. And that's surprising because we have so many wildlife in the country. That's why we think there is a need in environmental education and that this program is actually making a change in these people's lives.
Giraffes prefer leaves from bushes and trees along river courses. Acacia trees are among their favorites. Biologist Lachlan McPheeters say that as a result, they don't compete with livestock for food, making conflicts with farmers rare. So far, the scientists have counted 450 giraffes here in northern Namibia, and they are doing all they can to make sure these elegant creatures survive.
Now to Europe. To help people, we must also help nature. Because if we are to enjoy its bounty in the future, we need to treat it with respect. The oceans, once teemed with life, but overfishing and pollution have taken their toll. So what if we went back to doing some things the way our ancestors did?
When night falls in southern Portugal, it's time for Mauricio Nogueira to head out to sea. The fisherman is heading for his fishing grounds, 2 nautical miles off the coast of Villarreal de Santo Antonio. There he will catch octopus, like many here in the Algarve.
My great-grandfather, grandfather and father fished octopus as well, and my brothers too. You need to have it in your blood. It's a tough profession. The ocean takes everything out of you.
Strong winds and high waves make the work difficult tonight. The 44-year-old fisherman is committed to the traditional way of catching octopus. He sinks clay pots into the sea with a rope and uses a winch to lift the pots out of the water. In some, there will be an octopus hiding.
This way of fishing is just fairer. The octopus goes into the clay pot to sleep and can swim out at any time. Fish traps, on the other hand, are just traps.
But fish traps are being used more and more often. Mauricio believes this is one of the reasons why there are fewer and fewer octopuses in the region.
40 years ago, there were no traps, just clay pots. My father tells me that in those days, there were octopi all year round. Today, more and more clay pots are being replaced with traps, and some nights I hardly catch anything.
Santa Luzia is the Algarve's octopus fishing hub, and the fishermen know all the fishing methods inside out. Joaquin Oliveira has opted for traps with bait inside. The 57-year-old says it's more efficient and convenient because the traps can also be retrieved during the day.
The octopus goes in here and can't get out. Up until 2000, I also worked with clay pots. Then I switched to fish traps because it makes for less hard work. Fishing is easier, and you just catch more.
Octopus fishing is changing. There are more traps and more plastic. The traditional clay pots are being replaced with plastic containers. Mafalda Rangel is a marine biologist at Algarve University. She's worried about this development and points out that the oceans are already full of microparticles. She tries to promote sustainability.
Around 27% of all plastic that is in the sea comes from lost gears or fishing devices. So there's a huge problem there with these pots and with other fishing gears that get lost and are made of plastic material.
Mauricio goes out fishing again the next night. He has to hurry up to get the last octopi before they wake up and swim out of the containers. And he also, once again, has to repair a rope that's been cut, deliberately.
The rope is broken because another fisherman cut it. They don't respect my space. I occupy a large area with my clay pots, and that annoys the others.
There is a lot of competition, and it's tough for him on the market and at sea. But Mauricio wants to keep to his old methods, even if that means he has to stay out until the early morning hours.
If you work hard and you're skillful, you can earn decent money in a month. You have to put up with the cold and the bad weather, but you can make a pretty good living.
He believes that his method is more sustainable and hopes that it will one day be required in the Algarve, so that the sea is protected.
From Portugal, we head further down the Atlantic coast to Senegal. Here is something you may not know. Peanuts are considered the backbone of the Senegalese economy, and more than 90% of the harvest is exported to China.
Peanuts are nutritious and versatile and even come in their own packaging. Like much other packaging, Peanut shells aren't meant to be eaten, but they can be put to good use, as we'll see in our next report.
These button cell batteries may not look very special until you know the raw material used to make them at this lab in Dakar's Sheikh Anta Diop University. Peanut shells.
Transforming this type of biomass into advanced materials is a new field of research. The scientific community has been working on it for 2 or 3 years. And we were the first to initiate this kind of work here in Africa.
Peanut shells are plentiful in Senegal. Peanuts are one of the country's foremost important exports. More than 60% of the rural population grows the popular and energy-rich legume. But this year, a low harvest of around 1.6 million tons is expected due to poor rainfall. Until now, the shells have simply been thrown away or burned. Pure waste, says Professor Ngom. He regularly buys his raw materials at the Tilane Central Market in Dakar and explains to the trader that he makes batteries from the shells.
I'd never heard of that. It seems every day you wake up and there's more technology, more development. But I'm happy to see it happening and that the peanut shells help.
For more than 2 years, Bala Diop Ngom has been researching the conversion of biomass into energy with a group of 15 students. It's a complicated electrochemical process. First, the shells are ground into a powder and mixed with water.
The whole thing soaks for a period of time like this, though I won't tell you how long, because that's one of the crucial parameters. Then we filter the mixture, and the result is this liquid. Once we add some more ingredients, we can use it to create the positive charge of the battery.
The researchers take advantage of the high carbon content of the shells and extract zinc oxides from them. When the liquid is irradiated with sunlight at high temperatures, the zinc oxide evaporates and is converted into metallic zinc, which in turn can store energy. These are environmentally friendly batteries that have the same potential as conventional lithium-ion batteries, for example, but without the disadvantages. That's because lithium-ion batteries contain, among other things, cobalt, which is often mined by children in dangerous mines in the Congo. In addition, reserves of lithium and cobalt are limited. So the plus points are that the peanut battery is produced without cobalt, easier to dispose of, cheaper to produce. Introducing these environmentally friendly batteries would be of great help to Senegal, since 40% of rural households have no connection to the state power grid. They rely on batteries or alternative energy sources like solar, or simply don't have access to any form of energy. There is a huge gap in energy supply, according to this environmental analyst.
To fill this gap, I think we have to move toward the development of energy sources like biomass. Biomass energy can be an answer today because Senegal is a major producer of peanuts with a huge supply of peanut shells. For areas like Casamance, which has a significant amount of biomass, the development of this energy source will allow us to close a large part of the existing gap.
In preliminary trials, the researchers were able to power remote controls or cell phones with their biobatteries. But their product isn't market-ready yet.
We now need to further optimize all the processes in the lab to get all the parameters fully under control so that the system works properly. And then it will be ready for market.
The research team in Dakar is now sure their batteries work. However, further research and money is needed before they can upscale production so that people in Senegal can actually use peanut power batteries.
And that rounds off another show packed with information, innovation, and of course ideas. I hope you found it inspiring, so thank you for watching. It is now a goodbye from me, Sandra Twinobdio, here in Kampala, Uganda.
So long, Sandra. See you next time. Before I sign off, just a reminder that you can always check in with us anytime on our social media channels. Wishing you a good week ahead. Bye for now from me, Chris Alems, in Nigeria.